Great, wonderful. So, without further ado, let's start our topic today with one simple question. So, for this, I might want to pick one of you guys. So, I'm just going to point out in my laptop and see who. Okay, Miss Umo. Is Miss Umo here? You can unmute yourself.
I'm here, Mr. Shaiful.
Hello, Miss Umo. How are you?
I'm good today. How are
Uh,
you?
yeah, I'm doing great. Okay, so Miss Umo, I have one question for you. How many red cars are in this photo?
Okay, let me count. I think four.
Okay, excellent. We have four red cars over here. Okay, next question. How many red car did you see last Saturday on the road?
Actually, I couldn't remember. I remember how many
Okay,
record I
okay.
see
So
last Saturday.
yeah, so for sure you didn't know, right? It might be there,
Hmm.
but you don't have any reason to count. Am I right?
Yes,
Okay. What if I give you $100 on every red car that you saw today?
I will definitely count every red card that I see.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yes,
So
definitely.
yeah, so the chance is you will see a lot more red cars than you normally do. Okay, so the point here is the red cars were always there. You just didn't notice them until you had a reason to. So for now, you have a reason. So one red
Hmm.
car equals to $100. So for sure you're going to count it, right?
Yeah.
So that is basically
Yes.
how your brain works. It is called the reticular activating system, or we call it as RAS, RAS, because reticular activating system is actually, to make it simpler for each and every one of here, because our brain is bombarded with millions of bits of information every second. It is a magical creature. So our brain is like our CPU, right? So it is totally a magical creature that we have millions of information every second. So what this reticular activating system does is it acts like a filter. So it filters the information, the input that comes into our brain, and it only allows information that is important or relevant to keep you focused and prevent you from being crazy. So yeah, that is basically what this reticular activating system is all about. And yeah, so that is what I'm going to talk about this morning. So the topic for today is the red car theory. This theory right here actually really grabbed my attention when I read about it a few months ago, if I'm not wrong. Because for me, I think it is such a beautiful theory where it changed on the way how I view something, how I process, and how I interpret on certain situation. Okay. So what is the beauty behind this theory and how does it affect our daily life? Number one, it shapes what you notice. So if you focus on problems, you may notice more problems coming in. If you focus on opportunities, you may notice more opportunities. And if you focus on learning, you may notice that lessons are technically everywhere. And it also make your focus does not your focus does not magically create things. It makes you more aware of things that were already around you. Just like the red car just now from Miss Omo, technically red car is everywhere, right? But we didn't notice it because we don't have any intention to it. So it makes us more aware of things that were already around us. And also it influence your decisions, our decisions. So for example here, if your goal is to save money, you may start noticing unnecessary spending. So you might look for discounts or cutting the cost, sales, or even a price down, right? So it totally affects our decisions. And it also builds our momentum. So when you repeatedly focus on something, it stays on top of your mind. That makes it easier to take small actions every day. Okay, so next, these are a few samples over here. So a person who focuses on fitness may start taking the stairs, sleeping earlier, and choosing healthier meals. So a person who focuses on confidence may start noticing chances to speak up, introduce themselves, or try new things. And the third one, a person who focuses on personal growth, which I think a lot of us here, we may start paying attention to books, conversations, feedback, and mistakes as learning opportunities. So don't afraid to make a mistake because we learn from the mistakes. Okay. Next, same goes to you, just like Miss Omo just now. If you focus on getting $1,000 today, you will start counting the red car. on the road after this. And I'm sure if let's say I'm going to give all of you guys $100 today if you see any red card, and I believe everyone would do so, right? Because the purpose creates focus and it also affects your motivation. So when you notice progress, even a smaller one, you become more motivated. Okay, so how it helps with your goals. First, it trains your mind to look for what supports your target, and then you choose your rate card. So in the next slide is a few example that you can try to implement in your daily life. So instead of you say that I want a better life, so you might use I want to improve my health, or I want to save $300 per month, or I want to become more confident in meetings. So it is almost like driving you so hard in order for you to achieve that one specific goal. So from here, you try to narrow down specifically on what does you really want. If you want a better health, does that mean losing weight, gain muscles, or you just want to eat clean? So the main point here is to be specific. So a clear focus gives your mind a clear instruction. So that is how basically our brain works. But we have a big but over here. The red car theory can also become harmful if you focus too narrowly. So it is quite harmful for us. For example, over here, if you only focus on money, you may ignore your health or relationships. If you only focus on career, you may forget to rest. And if you only focus on mistakes, you might be losing your confidence. And if you only focus on one single plan, you may miss better options. Okay? So what is the key over here? Focus is powerful, but it needs one thing. So anyone here know what is that one thing? Let me pick Mr. Azrul. Can you guess what is the one thing?
I have two answers. It could be
Okay.
one, whether it's consistency and also progress.
Okay. So yeah, thank you for the answer. But the correct answer here is actually balance. So balance is like you try to zoom out. Okay, you try to zoom out where it helps you to see the whole picture. And I would like to do also share one thing that I learned from my mentor before this. I forgot the name of this method, but I call this as self-disengage. So how to do this is when you are in a dilemma, trouble, or something that is bothering you, right? So you try to imagine it this way. So for example, right now you are sitting in front of your PC, right? Imagine that you are watching yourself from the door of your room. And then you imagine that you are watching yourself again at the door, but this time around you are at the living room. And then you push it back. So you try to imagine that you are watching yourself now at the living room, but at the front door of your house. And then you go outside. Maybe you try to put yourself at the middle of the road. You try to see yourself in your house, and then you try to go to the sky and up until the galaxy. So what this done is actually in the psychological way is it is actually a good method to sometimes help you disengage from yourself, from your problems, and help you to see the bigger picture. When the further you try to zoom out, the smaller you are actually in this world, in this entire galaxy. So from there, you may start to notice that actually your problem is not that really big. It is just a tiny particles that float inside your brain, and that is when these two things kicks in: focus and balance. So where on certain times you need to know on how to focus, and on certain other time you need to know how to balance and just living your life. Okay. So the example here is if you want to improve your career, so you focus on learning a new skills, you join a training, you taking extra projects and networking. But at the same time, you also set time for exercise, sleep, family, and personal rest. And I believe, totally believe, this thing is what we are actually practicing here in our company. Okay, so starting from today, you try to choose your red car wisely, because what you focus on shapes what you see and what you achieve. Because focus creates awareness, awareness creates action, and action creates progress. And yeah, that wraps up my LV talk for today. Just a short and simple one. Thank you very much for listening, and I see you again in the next LV talk session. Thank you, everyone.